Hello, welcome back to the Rivalry Cup Show, Week 9. We're here to talk Gentlemen's Club football all day, all the time. My name is Brian, and we are here to give you the quick hits. NFL.com, tough time predicting this week. They only went 4-3 with, I believe their season record is above 500 now, so we'll give you an update on that one next week. Highest score of the week, the Steens. Wow, third time I've had that honor. Once again, doesn't really mean much, but pretty cool getting a top score a few times so far this season. Low score of the week, the man who was previously riding a 7-game win streak and was in first place, Mr. James Ortiz, 65 points. Wow. When it goes wrong, huh? I mean, his team's been looking great for 7 straight weeks now, and finally it collapsed a little bit. Josh Allen, a little bit of elbow issue. Aaron Jones, a little bit of foot ankle injury. I think they already said Aaron Jones is fine. I don't know if there's been a full-on diagnosis of Josh Allen yet as when I'm recording this, so if there is, we'll know, but I think I said it a few weeks ago. Ortiz's team just slowly getting chipped away by injuries, maybe? I don't know. But he still has a strong roster. Hollywood Brown might be back in like a week or two. And hopefully he can, get back on track. He's in second place. There's nothing to worry about, right? And Ortiz, because you have the least amount of points, you'll be paying the long 22. The somewhat recent new owner of Cooper Kupp, Christian Borelli, 69-yard touchdown for Cooper Kupp, wins the long 20 this week, $20 from Ortiz to Christian. High individual player of the week, guys. I mean, all you had to do was look at the app or look at an NFL scoreline for about 2 seconds. You could have figured out who this was. Joe Mixon, season high, 55 points. That might be the Gentlemen's Club regular season record. I might have to double check that, but 55 points is one hell of a stat line. Weston couldn't pull out the win, but if it wasn't for Joe Mixon, Weston's scoreline would have looked atrocious. So kept him somewhat competitive with the Goopy boys. Low starts of the week, a tie with 0 points. This seems to be a running theme that we're starting some 0-point guys. Tyler Higbee for Lynch. Naheem Hines for, I believe, Lamb. Geez, that guy barely even got on the field for offense. He was mostly special teams, but new team, got to find his role. And Craig Reynolds, I believe is his name. The third running back for the Lions, who Spencer started while Ian was starting the other 2 Lions running backs. So never thought I'd see 3 running backs from the same team in one matchup, but here we are. It's 2022, and it is the wonderful Gentlemen's Club that we play in. Last little stat, Christian Kirk was the high bench of the week outside of quarterbacks, 21 points. Christian Kirk is wide receiver 10. Tony, get him in your starting lineup. And I know that as soon as you do that, he's going to play like shit, so gotta love it, right? Gotta absolutely love fantasy football. All right, a little quick stat lines before we send it over to Ryan. Another trade happened in the league this week. Lynch and Joe made a trade. Deontay Johnson for Dulcich. Don't know the guy's first name. Let's call him Craig. That could be a complete guess. But Dulcich for Deontay Johnson. Face value, this does not look like a bad trade. Lynch had a hole at tight end, had an extra receiver. Makes a simple swap. Dulcich has had 13 points averaging the last few weeks since he got involved in that Broncos offense, and Deontay Johnson's averaging about 10 points per game on the season. So, face value looks like a pretty decent trade. Let's dig into it a little further. All right, so I'm looking at Lynch's team, right? He's got 4 wide receivers. He's got Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, Alan Lazard, and Curtis Samuel. Lazard and Samuel have been playing well. Understand why he might not want to trade them. He's got 2 good running backs. James Conner's back. He's got Nick Chubb, unbelievable. He's got his quarterback in Burrow. So where's his whole tight end? Okay, awesome. Needs to make a move. Had I known, personally, that Lynch was looking for a 10, I would have sent him Gerald Everett for Deontay Johnson or Judy or whoever the fuck he wants to trade me, gladly. I'm sure there might be someone else who's got a loose tight end that might have done the same. But it also begs the question is, there were a few waiver tight ends. Cade Otton had a nice week, like 17 points. Cole Kmet, 2 touchdowns, 22 points was in the waivers. And even Noah Fant had like 14 points last week. So I think at least 2 of those 3 guys have now been scooped up in waivers, but Lynch obviously had his opportunity. And that's where I started to come up with a little bit of a problem on Lynch's end for this trade, because Lynch traded away Russell Wilson because he sucked, right? He tried to get out of that stack that he had, the Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy stack, and now his team is once again dependent on Russell Wilson because he doubled down on the Broncos passing attack. He's got Dulcich and Jerry Jeudy likely to be his starting tight end and flex going forward. So that's why I just don't quite understand it, and maybe he could have just placed a waiver on one of these other tight ends. Maybe he could have traded to someone else. As I said, I gladly would have. I didn't even know that he was looking for a tight end. Makes me think Joe probably reached out to him. The deal seemed good. He made the trade. As I said, face value, not a bad trade, but I think if you start to look at more factors, something else could have been done, and I do not like having those two Broncos there, personally. Next little piece for that trade was great fucking business by Joe. Unreal. I mean, as I said, Deontay Johnson's only averaging 10 points a week, but Dulcich, he had him for his Travis Kelce bye. Now Dulcich is basically useless for him for the rest of the season. For all we know, he could have dropped him had he not been able to trade him. And Joe loses Rashad Bateman for the season, and he slides in Deontay Johnson now as his wide receiver 2. And I personally think, I know the stats might not have necessarily shown it this year, but I think Deontay Johnson's better than Rashad Bateman. So he takes a waiver wire tight end who has a couple of good weeks and trades him for a new wide receiver 2 to replace his guy who's done for the season. So great business by Joe. Lynch, I'm very curious to see how it pans out for you. And yeah, that's all I got. And who's next to make a trade, guys? I know one member has been reaching out looking to make a big deal. He's reached out to me. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not the only one he's reached out to. So who's going to make the next big splash? We shall see. And just like that, guys, we're going to send it over to Ryan to recap the matchups. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. My name is Ryan, and I am here to recap the Week 9 matchup, guys. You may have noticed the giant pumpkin in the studio this week, guys. Halloween may be over, but it's still spooky season is upon us for the Gentleman's Club, guys. It's the witching hour of the season. We're 9 weeks in. Standings are tight as ever, as I believe Joe mentioned in the group. Him beating Ortiz was big because if Ortiz had pulled away at 8-1 and was 2 games up, he'd start to see a little separation. But it's airtight. 7-2, 6-3, 5-4, 4-5, 3-6. All these guys are still in it. I think he said 1 through 12 all still look good, and I completely agree. Ian and Lamb, I'm sorry, but it'd be a long shot, especially Lamb. But you never know. Never know if either one can turn it around and maybe at least make a respectable season and maybe avoid the toilet bowl. That is an incentive enough, in my opinion, to not have to go and give a presentation or even prepare a presentation in front of everyone to maybe try and make a trade or two. It doesn't have to be major. You don't have to send Jonathan Taylor packing or anything like that. But just something to improve the guys, right? I don't know. Whatever. I'm glad I'm not in that position. Anyway. Let's get into the matchups, guys. Let's start off the Steens and Opium FC. 146.9 for the Steens. Excellent weekend. I got to say, we did not expect very good things out of the Steens this week, and they really surprised me, and it felt good. It felt real good to co-own this team with Brian. Opium FC, other side, 113. He started off Thursday night. He got 35 points out of his Eagles stack. I was like, honestly, that's actually a pretty decent start. I've seen them put up much more, so I was feeling okay after Thursday night, going to the weekend, and Tyreek Hill is just a fucking beast. Kyler is serviceable. Algier looked all right. I mean, Algier was getting more touches, but Cordarrelle had the 2 short touchdowns, so that was a little frustrating considering, we were versing each other. But other than that, nothing but good things to say about the Steens. Kenyon Drake, almost 25 points on Monday Night Football. Incredible. Gus Edwards, don't rush back, my friend. The Ravens are looking good, and Kenyon Drake is benefiting. Other than that, not a whole lot going in this matchup. Tua Tagovailoa on Eric's bench having another quality game. Is Eric going to be able to move one of his quarterbacks? Who knows? We shall see. Next matchup, it's the Mormon Soakers versus the Young Esquires, 89-80. Oh gosh! Listen, Spencer, you are now 6-3, and you're putting up 89 points and getting a win. I know Spencer was, had to kill him when Breece Hall was out for the season. Spencer's running backs are certainly shaky, but at this rate, he's going to get into the playoffs, and 89-80 wins are the way to do it. Good for you to pull out a win. I really thought Ian was going to pull it out on Monday Night Football with Isaiah Likely, especially on the first drive of the game, maybe not first drive of the game. First touchdown of the game was a 20-yard score for Isaiah Likely. I was like, wow, they're gonna start hitting this guy. Sklar is screwed. Effectively nothing for the rest of the game for Mr. Isaiah Likely. I think he actually just had the one catch. Yeah, he just had the one catch. Wow. But yeah, 80 points, nothing more to say about Jones's team. There was 3 Lions running backs in this matchup, which is just madness. But beyond that, Justin Jefferson is able to carry Sklar to a quiet victory, and he is sitting in 5th place, 6-3. Nice stuff. Ian stays in 13th, 2-7. Next one, guys, it was 1 versus 2, the matchup of the week. Joe versus Ortiz. Expected a lot more out of this one. Instead, it is a 60-point blowout, 126-65. Oh, Ortiz, what the heck? Kamara didn't get anything going against the Ravens. Aaron Jones left that game. Josh Allen still had a good stat line, but, his elbow at the end of the game. None of the receivers got going after Ortiz had his Browns on bye. Ortiz going no kicker. Dude, I'm sorry. I do not get that. I do not get that. You're going to be in a position where points for could determine if you get to make a selection, if you get to make the first selection, second, third. We've seen this multiple times this season. The only time I am not starting a player is if it is Monday Night Football and it is my defense and I am up by like a point and the other person has no one going. Otherwise, I truly don't understand how you're not just trying to accumulate points and add to that season total. I digress. Joe, other side, the new man at the top, 126 points. Patrick Mahomes, 34 points. Travis Kelce, 20 points. His new Chiefs stack, looking great. I believe this is the first time he's had them in action together. No, he probably did that before their bye, but they were on bye last week. So either way, they looked great. He's got Ravens D. He's got Waddle. Waddle's like wide receiver 5. Isn't that crazy? Because Tyreek Hill is wide receiver 1. So you could have really drafted both Dolphins wide receivers and been looking great. So that is an interesting little tidbit. Next one, Mike versus the Goopy Boys. Tony Marullo. Tony getting a much-needed win, 143 points. The eruption that we all knew his team was capable of, and I think he knew it too, just hadn't quite happened yet. Kenneth Walker is a machine. Incredible rookie running back selection. Dallas Goedert had that good Thursday night game. And Patriots defense, 26 points. Unbelievable, leading to 143 points. He's got Christian Kirk on his bench. Maybe Tony makes a trade, try and swap 2 of these receivers for a stud if someone's in that market. Don't know if there anyone is right now. I don't know if he'd be able to get Waddle from Joe now that Joe has Deontay Johnson as a wide receiver too. He's not in as bad of a need. But that was just the first one that popped into my head. But who knows? Maybe Tony makes a trade and makes a little run at this, guys. I think 6-8, 7-7 is making the playoffs. I think it's gonna be so tight, and everyone's just gonna beat up on each other down the stretch. But yeah, 143 to 101. Joe Mixon 55 points out of Weston's 101. If Joe Mixon has like a 20-point week, Weston is putting up 65 points. So do not let this 101 fool you. This is a very bad week from Mike Weston, and hopefully the Tokyo Knights can turn it around. Think about it. Darnell Mooney was his 17.5 point second best player. Remember Darnell Mooney? That guy got a lot of slander early in the season. Anyway, next one, Debo's Bike Rentals versus Brian's Ryan. Rast versus Lamb. Rast picking up a nice win after, had some ups and downs over the week. 128 points. Excellent stuff. He's got his Devontae Adams, 36 points. Devontae Adams had like 36 points at like halftime, and they lost. I don't know how you're not just feeding him 97 more times, but he had a great week. Led to Rast's win, and the rest of his guys did, decent enough. Other side, Lamb, there's nothing to talk about. The story's not changing. He's putting up more than 50 points, but 78, still pretty miserable. Rondell Moore, Jeff Wilson, these guys might be the small highlights of this team. You look at his bench, Jonathan Taylor, Ezekiel Elliott, Robert Woods, Keenan Allen. Take this bench a year or two ago, oh my God, he would have a nice team. But that's just kind of the story. Kevin's got a lot of guys out of their prime and a lot of guys that just dealing with injuries left and right and just has not come together at all. He's 1-8, 14th place, lost 4 in a row. Next one, Sedano and Lynch, 97 to 75. Yeah, 75 might make a guy want to make a trade, huh? But you know what? Chubb was on bye. Connor had his first game back, so he has both those guys back. He had a few other buys, and his team's going to look. I think his team's going to look a lot different last week. Especially he made a trade. He's through a good amount of his buys, but 75 is tough to look at. But 97, other side, Sedano sneaks away with a win. Travis Etienne, 26 points. D-Hop, 13 points, continuing to pay off for him in that trade he made with Charlie. Even though Taysom Hill, 1 point, what a mess of a tight end. Can't wait for Darren Waller to come back and fill that immediate need that Sedano is working with, because Taysom Hill is going to score 2 or 3 touchdowns, or he's going to just do absolute jack shit and play like 4 plays. So hard to gauge. Anyway, Sedano, picks up a nice win, 4-5. He guaranteed his team the win, and he got it. Darnold Palmer's versus Christian. This was probably the combined highest scoring matchup of the week, 136 to 128. Wow, I thought Christian was going to pull this out, but Charlie holds on. Charlie 4-5, 136 points, looking like a pretty strong team as well. Christian 128. That's a good score, but fortunately you take the L and you're 5-4. Couple of things about this. Christian has Derrick Henry and Cooper Kupp, and they are machines. They both had great weeks, and his flex might be. No, his flex isn't an issue because he's got CeeDee Lamb on bye. So Christian's got a really nice team, and Charlie is just the most. He's had an absolute roller coaster of a season. 42 points out of Justin Fields, though, is the absolute talking point of this matchup. Unbelievable. That dude is fast as hell. I think Eric said it in the group chat, and he's not wrong. 178 rushing yards. That's the quarterback record, right? I think they've been talking about that a lot. And good for him. Maybe Charlie finally found his quarterback. And Deshaun Watson's back in, 2 weeks? So between those two, maybe he can finally drop Lawrence or trade Lawrence. I don't know if anyone wants Lawrence, but I don't think Charlie needs to hold 3 quarterbacks anymore because Fields looked awesome and Watson is on the horizon. So guys, that is the matchup week 9 in the books. Let's send it back to Brian for the preview portion of the program. Thank you, Ryan. And I am Brian here with the preview portion of the program. Let's run through it quick. Marsh versus Weston. Weston take this one 4-1 over the years. Jeez, I would love to remedy that. That is a tough look. Weston smacking me around over the years. Sedano versus Tony. Another whopping. Sedano 5-1 over Tony over the years. Tony won year 1. It's been all Sedano ever since. Next one. Christian and Lynch. Ooh, Lynch takes this one 4-2, including the last 4. Good to see from Lynch. Next one, Kevin and Charlie. Kevin loses this one 5-1 over Charlie. Charlie takes it 5-1 over the years over Kevin. And how many times have I said over the years during this segment? I'm going to keep saying it. But yeah, I don't see Kevin remedying that anytime soon with the current roster he's putting out. Next one, Ortiz versus Sklar. A nice little bowl they got going on. And Ortiz has taken it the last 5 years on his way to a 5-2 record over Sklar historically. Next one, Joe versus Rast. Joe is 3-0 against Rast. Next one, Ian and Eric. Eric takes this one 5-1 over Ian. Good stuff from Eric. Last one, the one Ian won was in 2020, and Eric has taken the rest. Charlie and Kevin we did, Lynch and Christian we did, Ian, Eric, Weston, Marsh, Rast, Joe, and that is it. Those are the 7 matchups. I hope you all have a great week. We'll send it over to Joe at Safe Space. Thank you for tuning in.
Hello? Yep, add butter, please hold. Hello? Yep, add butter. Yep, please hold. Hey, Charlie, yeah. Oh, you want to make that trade? All right, hold on. Add butter, please hold. Hello? Yep. Yeah, oh, Charlie again, yeah. All right, Hopkins, ETN, and Waller for Cook. All right, hold on, please hold. Hello, add butter, please hold. Yeah, hold on, let me get back. Charlie, all right, yeah, let's make that trade. All right, we're good. Alrighty, wow. Gentlemen, the season is back on for Ad Butter Media. Welcome to Safe Space. Thank you, John. That was a delightful, an excellent, a wonderful introduction to Safe Space. Gentlemen, as John said, welcome back to the program. Welcome back to Safe Space. Light. John handled the intro, so shall we get right into it? Gentlemen, how we start every episode of Safe Space? That's right. We start with a little best team, a little worst team action. Best team. Best team, Lil Joey. Lil Joey with the best team, eh? Lil Joey. I don't know where I got this fucking accent shit lately. But thank you, gentlemen, for voting me best team. You know, it is what it is. I've said multiple times on this program, as many of us, I'm one injury away from just being in their average team. It's fighting for a playoff life. So while 9 weeks in, it's nice to be in first place. It's nice to be most points forced. It's nice to be best team. It's not much to show for. I will say this, though. I was looking at the league standings this morning. I think having the 1 seed this year might be as important as ever because, man, there are some fucking good teams in, like, the 2nd and 3rd tier of the standings. Fucking Brian Marsh. Rast has been putting up points all week. Sklar and Christian have the records. But beyond the top 7, Charlie seems fucking good. Victims of the Night is fucking good. Tony's team is fucking good. If those guys figure out how to make it into the playoffs, like, I don't know if there's going to be multiple easy selections or perceived easy selections for the top seeds. So I think if there is only one easy spot, that really gives a lot of leverage to the 1 seed. So we'll see how these last few weeks shake out. But I mean, I'm 7-2, Ortiz is 7-2, Eric 6-3, Marsha 6-3, and even Spencer 6-3. So we have 5 teams that I guess hypothetically have a shot for the 1 seed. Should be an interesting end of the season. And then I'm sure March is going to start talking about the playoff races, but I think it's going to be even more interesting, the stretch run of who's getting in and who's getting out. Worst team, I kind of continued with the Kevin Lamb theme from last week. He only put up 70 points this past week, so until you show something, little Uncle Kevin, you're gonna fucking face the noise. And I think I asked in the poll, how embarrassed should Kevin be for how the season has gone? Kevin responded first. He goes, here's the thing. I don't actually think I have the worst team. I think with health in a month, I actually have a decent starting roster. But I don't care about losing games right now. Also, I'm a former champion. I don't love this response, Kevin. I don't know how you look at your team and look at what you've done and say you don't actually think you have the worst team. I also just don't love the fucking apathy, the lack of care for these games right now. I mean, this stuff matters. You can't just I'm going to only try in the toilet bowl. That's kind of shitty. Let's see what the rest of the league says, though. I'm just one man. Was with Kevin at what we like to call the Bagoni Summit this past weekend. And over a nice steak dinner, he lamented the pain and despair he feels on a weekly basis and how it's carrying over to his personal life. Marina, trying to console her new husband, off to a bad reading start today, said, well, as long as your team is better than Ian's, you have my unconditional support, babe. Because at least then, I know you're not retarded. Next submission, Kevin's a fucking bum loser. Another one. I have no words for Kevin. It's so bad. He won't trade, and I get that, but can't accept another toilet bowl. You just can't do that. There's gotta be something out there. Might be riding high on his wedding and honeymoon. So I don't think he gives a shit, which is really frightening. I think Kevin is at a point where he's lost interest and no longer cares. So I bet he's not feeling too bad anymore. The lack of apathy. One step below, rubbing one out in the back of your parents' car on a road trip embarrassed. I mean, Kevin, I didn't really mean to have the whole league lean into your team. I just knew you were going to get voted worst team again and didn't have much to say about your team. Show some fight for us, bud. We're rooting for you. We want to see you at least be competitive. All right, let's get to the segments. All right. Segment this week is how has this fantasy season changed your perception of certain league members in a positive or negative way? I thought of this because I was reflecting about how John introed Safe Space this week, but last year he was such a fucking little cunt with Safe Space. So, how the times have changed, people. I have one. Oh, I have low battery mode. I don't know if that just made it blurry. I have one. Charlie Carita, in a negative way, the perception has changed because Charlie and I have been button heads for the last few weeks through trade talks, tensions rising in the text messages. 2 times this year, Charlie and I agree on a trade. He goes, okay, I'll do that. Then when we go to do it, he fucking backs out. And he goes, oh, I can't do it anymore. Oh, I'll fucking offer you Brian Robinson or Drake London instead, he fucking says to me, like Charlie. He fucking treats me like I'm some fucking girl at the bar. He goes up to and talks to and flirts with all night and leads her on and tries to make her think that he wants to bring her home. Then he fucking Irish exits her and goes home. And at the post game, he's talking to the boys and he's like, oh yeah, dude, she wanted to fuck me. And his boys are like, why? Well, why didn't you fucking fuck her then? I don't fucking get it. And, fucking deep down, he's like, oh, I didn't. It just wasn't the night. But everyone kind of knows, oh, Charlie, you're just being a pussy. You're just being a pussy, Charlie. So, what do you... Stop. Have some respect. So that's a negative one. I guess one positive one is James Ortiz. earlier this season, I think it was the first safe space submission, he was fucking late with his responses and lazy with his answers. And since then, he's been delightful. He's been really thoughtful with his answers. I appreciate that, James, because you caring makes my job a lot easier. Let's go to your submissions. Eric Olson. I'm so out on Olson. This is about, by the way, these are about the people I named, not from the people. Eric, I'm so out on Olson with fantasy. I want to crush that guy and glad I did this week. Yes, I'll give you the shirt. I'll print the shirts. Joe, more positive. I haven't been told what my team needs, and you've offered me a few trades in a respectful manner. Might get off the no trade list soon. This is from Marsh. I've been on his no trade list apparently for years now. I think as time goes by, you learn how to talk trades with different people in the league. Each person is their own cup of tea. Tony Marullo, Anthony. We had a civil NFL.com bowl last year. Never again. That'll be a cutthroat affair from now on, and he is my rival. Christian is the luckiest player in the fucking league. He doesn't know much about football at all and always ends up with a good team down the stretch. No credit to him whatsoever, though. Wow. Ian Jones. His paranoia that the league mates are out to get him in trades is just becoming psychotic. Was that a perception change this year? Did that take 6 years to understand that? Oh, we're slipping again. James Ortiz. James has had good teams in the past, and this year including. If league members were willing to trade with him, if league members were willing to trade with James, he may have won a championship by now. I thought James was more reasonable in trading, but general consensus does not seem to support that. I've talked my fair share of fluff about James and his trade negotiations during fantasy on this program. Other league members have said the same. I mean, James, if you want to trade, show us, but I think he knows he doesn't like to trade, and why would he? He's 7-2. John Sedano, people call him a witch, but he actually might be a really savvy manager. The Etienne Hopkins trade is looking like a real steal. Charlie sits on his bum, sending trash offers to everyone, and then takes the trash. Poetic. I mean, people gotta wonder what Charlie's team would be if he didn't make that trade. Because his team with Fields at QB now. So he had Fields at QB. He'd have Etienne and McCaffrey at running back. His wide receivers would be Lockett, Amon-Ra, and Hopkins. And then he'd have Juju on the bench, which he could have probably easily traded for an upgrade for Pitts at tight end. But he has a good team now and lost a massive trade, which I think speaks volumes to his team as much as it speaks volumes to Johnny's team being back. Brian Marsh. 2 submissions, slowly changing the narrative on his mediocrity. People in the hallway. Marsh is on pace not to go 500, so I guess he's convinced me he's learned something. I texted Marsh on Monday night. His team fucking looks good. Really good. And you know something? For all the fucking hours and hours that Marsh puts into a rivalry recap show, we've never seen him make a playoff video, and I would love to see that. I think if Marsh makes the playoffs this year, he's going to be fan favorite to win the league. People are talking in the hallway. So I'm going to whisper this one. Kevin Lamb. Feel like he lost his competitive fire after he won the ship. Never thought I'd say that about Lamb. And a long submission. I think we all know the perception of our league mates well after 6 fun years. Some common examples being James Ortiz as a bad trade partner, Eric being a cocky son of a bitch, or Johnny being a witch. However, and I don't say this lightly, I think there is a new negative perception for one league member in particular. Kevin fucking Lamb. He's shown a complete lack of respect for a gentleman's club this season. Kevin has always been a guy who grinds in the league, and it was rewarded. Sometimes I just cannot say words. It was rewarded last year with a championship. A championship that he now spits on. I actually just fucking spit. That was dumb. The way he has handled his championship defending year has been a joke. I rooted for this guy and was his biggest fan. But no more. The new perception of Kevin is sad and depressing. and hope he can at least regain some of the spark for the back half of the year. Kevin, you let your fans down. Sad to see. Marsh, I ask you this every week. I would love to know Kevin's career record in the Gentlemen's Club outside of last year. On a positive note, this is the last submission. The perception of the Content Boys has never been brighter. They continue to put up bangers and raise their own standards weekly. Tremendous amount of effort to the league that should be called out. Well done. Thank you. I genuinely appreciate that. I actually don't think Safe Space has been that great this year, but glad you're enjoying it. And shout out to Marsh because he has made some awesome improvements in his segment so far this year. Hopefully we can fix the fucking blurriness issues, Brian. Text me back about the Google Drive thing. Safe Space submissions. Gentlemen, we end the week with this little thing called Safe Space every week, where you could say whatever you want and fucking nobody will know. Nobody will know what's coming from you. You could say, hey, I actually talk shit about Tony's team because he made fun of me last year when he beat me in the playoffs, but I actually think it's pretty good, and I'm nervous that he won't make. I'm nervous that he'll make the playoffs this year and fucking beat me again. And you could say that, and nobody would fucking know because this is a safe space. Lynch's trade offer of Cooper Kupp keeps getting gradually worse. Marsh, I know Marsh is going to touch on this, but Lynch essentially traded Cooper Kupp for Patrick Mahomes and Deontay Johnson, but traded me Patrick Mahomes and Deontay Johnson. So he effectively traded Cooper Kupp for Joe Burrow, Curtis Samuel, and Greg Dulcich. I actually don't think that's that bad of a deal. I play Weston next week, and Mixon is on a bye. Glad I know half of his production will be out. Joe Mixon, how about that? 55 points. Is that all-time high? Ortiz is my bitch, all caps. Anyone have any good podcasts they enjoy? This is from Ortiz. I told him I like the Ryan Russillo podcast. I don't know if anyone else in this league listens to that. I also like the Bill Simmons podcast. A 140-point victory is just enough to trick me into thinking I have a chance again. Road to 500 started last week, 3 more weeks ago. A monster matchup between John Sedano and Anthony Marullo coming up this week. They're both fucking storming for a playoff spot, running out of time, running out of weeks. This could be a loser leaves town matchup. Tell Christian we'll be shocking the world from here on out, so don't be shocked when I win this week. I can't believe the league is letting me get back in the hunt. That was from John Sedano. See Tony's point. Big matchup this week. Put that on prime time. Flex that to the Sunday night spot. Anyone notice how much more active and opinionated Eric is now that he thinks he's good? We didn't hear a lot from Eric over the past couple years when he was in fucking last place the whole time, but he's good once again, and he's been active in the group chat. And you know something? It bothers me, but I don't fucking hate it. I like when people... The league needs a few villains, and Eric continue on it. And that kind of leads into this last submission for the week. I have a message to the league in general. I'm nervous right now. Lack of chatter in the group me, lack of trash talk. Our commissioner is MIA right now. Honestly, could be dead. I know we're all watching football on Sunday. I just want to talk ball with my friends. I did mention this earlier in the Safe Space year, where I said, I don't know what was up at group me, but it didn't seem as active as it used to be. And I think that's continuing. That's bothering our league members. I mean, listen, I'm not fucking asking you, like, fucking stop what you're doing and text in the chat, but, I think some people, I think all of us are guilty of just ignoring it and not engaging. And I think when enough people do that, it's tougher to get like a really good conversation, a really fun conversation sparked. So I don't know. I did enjoy the Derrick Henry to see a top 3 running back or top running back of a lifetime conversation, but you know what? I'll do this. I'm gonna fucking write in this group me once I stop this video. I'll go, hey, stretch run looking pretty interesting in the group or something to get fucking, league conversation started. When you're watching this video, you're gonna know where you looked at that message and engaged, or looked at that message and just fucking ignored it. If you're fucking ignoring it, you're part of this fucking problem. And we're all gonna need to fucking engage to get the group chat to where it once was. Because, gentlemen, at the end of the day, what makes this league great is that we all care. So fucking care. Have a great week. Week 10 next week? Week 9 in the books? Week 10! Double digits. Stretch run. Good luck.